Good morning, everyone. So today we have an awesome guest. Her name is Noor, and she's from Ohio. She's a fellow runner like myself, so I'm super excited to have someone on who appreciates the sport and loves running a lot of miles like I do. She has been a major advocate in the human rights field over the past 2 years because of what's happened with her own personal life and wanting to make a difference in the world. So Noor, go ahead.
Noor Abukaram. I'm a senior in high school at the Bounty Collegium, which is a local private school here in Toledo, Ohio. And I'm the founder of Let Noor Run.
Awesome. So for those who haven't heard your story, can you speak a little bit about what happened in October 2019?
Yeah, so in October of 2019, I had just finished running at the district invitationals, and I found out that I had been disqualified because of rules that they had against wearing the hijab. And I didn't have my waiver or anything. So anyways, I found out I had been disqualified after I ran the race. And then after that, it was just like a whirlwind of just trying to figure out like what to do next. So like it was just like, okay, like because in my head personally, I was just ready to just run the next week. And I was like, whatever, just give me my waiver, I'll run next week. But then it like took like a slap in the face to be like, no, you need to do something about this because it's not just you who it affects in the long run, which is kind of what inspired Let Noor Run. Is just like understanding that my story and what had happened to me isn't like the first person that it's happened to, like it's happened to so many other people, and it's not just like a once in a blue moon kind of thing. It happens all the time to Muslim athletes in America. So a part of Let Noor Run and part of that mission is just bringing these stories to light and bringing them together in one full place.
Yeah, no, that's a great initiative. And I mean, obviously you're touching other people's hearts as, you've become a nationwide image for sports equality. So then in June 2020, so last year, you helped your Ohio senator write a Senate Bill 288. What is that bill, and what was the process like to go through that?
So Senate Bill 288 is a bill that prohibits organizations from implementing discriminatory policies in extracurricular activities. So that part of the bill is honestly, it's so important because it's such a broad spectrum that it has effect on. So it's not just sports, but it's like any extracurricular activity. So it can be like the chess club or debate or, even like soccer, like all different extracurricular activities, which is why like this bill was like so special. So that process was, so I met Senator Teresa in January of 2020, and we just like had lunch together, and I didn't think much of it. I was just like, this is probably just like, we're just gonna have lunch. That's it kind of thing, but then once I told her about like the different rule changes that OSHA had made and stuff like that, and how we just weren't happy with it and stuff, she immediately like got her iPad out and started like highlighting things, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna get to work. And I didn't even think about it, but she was like, give me your lawyer's phone number. So I gave her my lawyer's phone number, who was helping us just like get things sorted out back in October. So I gave her the phone number, and then I had my kickoff event, the Let Noor Run kickoff event that night. And my lawyer was there, and she was like, you won't believe who I talked to today. And then I was like, who? And she was like, the senator, and we're working on something that's going to be great. So, and I had no clue. And it wasn't until a month later that the senator called my mom, and she told my mom about the bill. And that was like an awesome moment. So I don't know if you know about like the process with how bills work. So I went to the State House 3 times. And the first time was for the introduction for the bill, so when she introduces it to the Senate. And then the second time was to testify. And so for me to testify, that was like a special moment, just because it was like I had been telling my story on and on, doing all these interviews. I just keep telling my story. And then this was like the time that telling my story really mattered. You know what I mean? And like I really needed to tell my story, and these people needed to be moved by it. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's safe to say that they did. So the bill passed unanimously out of committee, and then it passed unanimously out of the House or out of the Senate. So right now it's like in a waiting area, waiting to get picked up by a member in the House. So that way it can go through the same exact process in the House, and then turn into law and be signed by the governor. And we're hoping that it's going to start that process in the House, and hopefully it'll become law by the end of 2021.
Wow, that is great. And, you know, for you to be a part of that is really awesome. Just in general, does this make you want to go into this field when you graduate high school or
That's a question that I got so much after this. And actually, I do want to go into law, but like later in my career. But when I want to study fashion design.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then I want to study law. So I don't know, I'm just taking it step by step. And I think that this whole process has just made me want to cling on to something that I was passionate about before letting her run. So
no, I totally get that. I study all this stuff, so I'm always, you know, pushing for people to go into it, but I also love fashion. So any new fashion trends coming out, it's great. So like you say, you have your Let Noor Run, and your initiative is to eliminate discrimination in sports. Do you have any future goals or plans for it as time passes?
Yeah, so like I said, we're hoping to get the bill passed out of the House and into law by 2021. So that's one of our like short-term goals. And long-term, so like I'm kind of like in this stage right now where we're just like brainstorming and trying to just really figure out what the initiative is about. But ultimately, I know that I want it to be the hub for discrimination, and I want it to be a place. So like personally, I had so much support when all this happened, you know, like my cousin's a lawyer, so he like got me in contact with this lawyer, and then like I had my mom, and like so much support. And unfortunately, not a lot of people have this kind of support, so they wouldn't tell their stories. Does that make sense? So I think without this kind of support, I would have just been like I said in the beginning, just like ready to race the next week. So I think that it's important to give people this support, and just to like let people know that like we're here, and like even if it's like the most like minute thing, like just like talking to someone and being like, okay, well, how do you feel about this? So that's like one of the missions of Let Noor Run. And then also like just bringing those dialogues together, which we emulated in the event back in January last year. And then another mission is by encouraging diversity and doing what we love. So it's just common sense, I think, to if we continue to encourage diversity, it's in like the more prominent diversity is in different industries, the less discrimination you'll see. Like maybe you'll see it like in the beginning, but then it'll just become so normal. So like a Muslim girl can be the face of cross country or soccer, you know what I'm saying? So like we don't see many Muslim girls in sports, but we see them at the science fair, you know? So it's just like encouraging diversity, and that's what we're doing with our 5K. Is one of the initiatives of the 5K is to raise money for sports hijabs. And we just got finished talking to the Diversity and Leadership Committee of the Toledo Public Schools here in Toledo to see if those hijabs that we get donated, they'll be funneled back into these inner city schools. And this, just like that notion of saying, okay, we have sports hijabs for you guys. Like that's just like another thing that hijabi athletes don't have to think about. So like me as a hijabi athlete, when the coach hands me my tank top and spandex, I'm like, okay, thanks. You know, like now I have to buy a sports hijab and leggings and a long sleeve shirt to wear under it. Like it's so much extra work that it really is discouraging to other hijabis to want to do athletics, because it's like, well, I don't belong there, you know? So having sports hijabs accessible in the sports departments is one of the most important things of just encouraging diversity. Even if there's like one or two girls that actually want to do sports, hijabi girls, it's just like that notion, like, okay, we have them here for you, and when you want to do it, we're ready for you, kind of thing. So we actually just got that finalized this past week with the TPS Diversity and Leadership Committee. So all the money that will be donated towards sports hijabs in the 5K will be funneled back into the inner city schools in Toledo. And then another mission in the 5K is so there's like two options with the 5K. So initially the $20 that's for registration, that will be going towards a medal, and then to the House of Innovation, which is a local nonprofit here in Toledo, Ohio. And they are a community makerspace. It's basically just like access to state-of-the-art resources to express your creativity and innovation. And we're supporting this because we think that if we can give the communities access to stuff like this and to creativity, then that's going to make diversity more prominent in all industries. So this is why it resonates so well with Let Noor Run's mission. So we're really hoping to like get this 5K out there so that way we can really just funnel everything back to where it needs to go.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, as you're talking, I mean, I was thinking back to when, you know, I was in high school and when I was in college running. And no, the athletic departments didn't make sure that, you know, certain materials were accessible to runners. And if they did, then at least I didn't know about it. So, I mean, I think making sure that people know that they are, you know, accessible and that they have the option of using them is obviously the next step in this. And then, as you said throughout, you know, this entire interview, you know, making sure people have a voice and people to bounce, you know, anything off of. What advice do you have for other athletes who have also faced discrimination in the sport? Do you have any like major points of, you know, what they should do if this happens?
I think like what they should do if this happens. So it's definitely like case by case, for sure. But I think the number one thing to do is to like find your team. Mm-hmm. So like with me, like when I was starting this, it was like, okay, who is my like team? Who is like there and who's gonna like help me get out of this situation? So just like, even if it's just like your parent or like your close friend, like who is gonna be there to help you, because in the end of the day, like you're the athlete, you know what I'm saying, and you just need to do your athletic abilities, and that's why it's important with Let Noor Run is to find that person who's gonna like help you out. So Najah Akil, I think that's her last name. She was a volleyball player in Tennessee, and I was like on a call with her, and she had a very similar situation happen to her. And I remember like the way that like her mom was talking about like the different like rule changes that they were making and stuff like that. I just remember like thinking, oh my God, that's like exactly the way that my mom was. And I remember like Hamza. I'm sorry, that's my little brother. I don't know what he's doing.
It's okay.
So it's just like about having like that support system. And I think that's step number one, is finding that support system and then looking at like who you're working with. So it's like with me, I was so like our governing body is OSHA here in Ohio. So every different state has their own governing body. So yeah, it's just like looking at the rules, and I think it's just like tearing everything apart and then bringing it back together again, and then like writing letters and calling people can go a long way. So
yeah, I mean, this is definitely the time to do this. Obviously, we're in a point in our country where like change is actually being implemented. So if anyone's watching and has had these issues, like take advantage of what Noor's saying to do. It's time to have your voice heard. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And good luck with your virtual 5K and everything that's going on. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
All right.